No, this cancel culture, the hard left today is the most dangerous threat to freedom that we face. It's chilling. What this letter is chilling. It's intimidating. It's wrong. And as you point out, it's a direct. And as Kathy pointed out at the start of that hearing, it's a direct attack on the First Amendment. I mean, you think about your rights stand under the First Amendment, your right to practice your faith the way you want, your right to petition your government, your right to assemble, freedom of the press. But your most fundamental liberty under the First Amendment is your right to speak and to speak in a political fashion. And now we have government officials, 2 members of Congress, trying to say, you can't do that, trying to stop that. And if we attempted to do that to if Republicans wrote a similar letter about MSNBC or CNN, oh my goodness, could you see the outrage? Oh. But it's fine to attack conservatives like OANN, Newsmax, and Fox. It's fine for them to do that. The American people understand how wrong this is.
Congressman, I'm so glad you brought that up because I have a little clip I'd like to roll and get your feeling on this. This is from our friends at CNN talking about the Russian collusion between President Trump, this is years ago, and the Russian government, which never happened, we now know, which is a story they ran for over 4 years. Roll it, guys.
For more than a year, the President of the United States has claimed the Russia story is a hoax. Now, a stunning indictment says it is not, no matter what the President has been saying again and again and again.
So, if we look at what Eshoo and McNerney are saying in their ridiculous 3-page letter and their 6 questions they're asking these CEOs, they claim that places like OANN put out mis- and disinformation about election integrity and COVID. Wouldn't that go the same then for CNN, who put out misinformation about Russian collusion for almost 5 years? Why isn't CNN mentioned in this letter?
No, you're exactly right. But remember, they're allowed to lie about us. We're not allowed to tell the truth about them. That's what the cancel culture is all about. It's about keeping people silent, keeping people afraid, intimidating, chilling effect. That's what it's all about. And no, you're exactly right. This whole Russia collusion hoax, the first impeachment based on a phone call, that was fine that they released. The Democrats never thought the president would release that call and show them the evidence. So they've been pushing conspiracy theories since, well, frankly, even before President Trump got in office, because that's when the Russian investigation started. So they can do that, but we can't tell the truth about them. And that is what's so frightening about this and why we all need to speak out. And I've said this a number of times. I told the Democrats on the House floor the day we had the impeachment vote, I said the cancel culture won't just stop with conservatives and Republicans. It'll come after you guys, too. It'll come after Democrats. Dan, it took all of 13 days for that statement to be proven true. 13 days later, the San Francisco School Board said the Dianne Feinstein Elementary School would no longer be named after Senator Feinstein. She wasn't even woke enough. Liberal icon senator from California, not woke enough because 37 years ago she said something the woke mob doesn't like. She got canceled too. So that's where this goes to, and everyone needs to understand it, and that's why even Democrats should be speaking out against it. Unfortunately, I don't think they will.
Yeah, it should be, every American should be concerned. I mean, they're canceling, I love comedy, they're canceling liberal comedians for the jokes they tell. I mean, could you imagine if Don Rickles tried to begin his career today? Yeah. And he's considered one of the funniest guys of all times. But if he told the jokes he told over the last 50, 60 years today, they would cancel a Don Rickles in a heartbeat. They've already done it to Dave Chappelle, even though he got his show back. I want to pivot here and switch gears, Jim, because there's so much more to talk to you about than just them coming after us and the other networks. And you brought it up there briefly on election integrity. We saw this week the dissent by Justice Thomas when the lawsuit from Pennsylvania got there, looking into whether or not they broke the Constitution with them changing their laws and the rules on election last minute. You were very outspoken about this before the November 3rd election and after. Your feelings on the justice and the way the other justices went not to even take the case up.
No, I wish they would have taken the case up. I thought Justice Thomas' dissent was right on target. You know, this is a question we need to answer because going forward, the American people need to know. Whatever you think about the outcome of the election, there are millions and millions of Americans who have serious doubts, and that includes Democrats. So for that reason alone, we should do an investigation and get in this. And frankly, the Supreme Court should have looked at this case, particularly from the state of Pennsylvania, where we know that they went around the legislature in an unconstitutional fashion, changed their election laws in the run-up to the election, because, frankly, the Democrats knew that under the existing rules, they weren't going to be able to beat President Trump. They had to change their election laws, and that's what they did. But they did it in an unconstitutional fashion. And here's the double standard with this. On January 6, 2017, there were 11 states objected to by Democrats. They can object to 11 states, but somehow Jim Jordan objecting to 6 states, Jim Jordan and Republicans objecting to 6 states, including the state of Pennsylvania, where it's clear they went in an unconstitutional fashion around their state legislature to change election law. We weren't allowed to do that. One Democrat, the chairman of the Rules Committee, back on January 6, 2017, objected to the state of Alabama. Now think about that. President Trump won Alabama by 30 points. So they can object to Alabama, but I can't object to Pennsylvania, where we know that they unconstitutionally changed their law. This is another double standard that just, again, drives Americans crazy. It's
the double standard. It's hypocrisy. Do as I say, not as I do. And oh, by the way, since we control 90% of the media, we'll just have them cover it up or not cover it all for us. And that's what they're doing. And then, then we'll come after us, so we don't have a voice.
Yeah, exactly. they want complete.
Jim, we can't let this happen to our country. What the hell do we do? I'm all serious here now. What are we going to do about this?
Great question, Dan. We have to change 230. We got a bill that overhauls 230. You got to hold these people liable. If they're going to make decisions about what content can be on their platform, then they need to be open to being sued. If they're not going to make decisions and put everything up, fine. But if they're going to, I was just on a show earlier with Professor Dershowitz. We talked about this. That's where he thinks this needs to go. I agree. And then we also need to look at the antitrust laws when it comes to big tech and the censorship that's taking place there and the targeting of conservatives that is taking place with big tech as well.
Let's go to national security, immigration, what's happening in D.C. There's so much going on there with the guards still there. And the hearing, of course, this week about what happened on the 6th. So several more topics. I hope you got time. We're going to try and get to them real quick. Let's first hit the hearing on what happened on the 6th. You didn't have a normal hearing. There wasn't witnesses. People aren't under oath. They just yacked a lot of stuff, and people, I think, got upset listening to this. There was some on the right who made some very good points during the hearings, but to me, there was a lot of finger pointing. I'd like to know if the FBI says they know it was planned ahead of time and they told people, who did they tell? Because Mr. Sun, the Capitol Hill police chief who resigned, says he didn't get any word. They thought there'd be small skirmishes, but not this big scale attack. And you had finger pointing between D.C. officials, Capitol Police, the Sergeant at Arms. I didn't know what to make of these hearings. What did you get out of them?
Well, I think, frankly, right now, the biggest question is the individual that the Speaker of the House chose to do the security review has said all kinds of ridiculous things.
Oh, Mr. Onray.
I mean, he accused Capitol Hill police of being complicit in the attack. Well, we know that wasn't the case. There's been no evidence of that, at least no evidence whatsoever to support that. The Capitol Police are some of the bravest, greatest people, doing their job. So I think we'll have to see what he's doing with his security review. But I got concerns about what he said about colleagues of mine in the House, what he said about Senator Hawley, and frankly, what he said about, as I said earlier, what he indicated about the Capitol Hill Police. That is, there is no evidence whatsoever to support those statements. So we'll see what his review says. But I think a lot of members are nervous about that individual being selected by the Speaker of the House to run this security review and issue some report.
Yeah, and folks, the congressman there, you're talking about the retired Lieutenant General Onray, who Nancy Pelosi, Auntie Nancy, said, go after people, go look at them. He's looking at guard members, Capitol Police, like you said, Republican members of the House and Senate to investigate and go after them, see if they helped incite or push or provide intel or whatever nonsense Nancy and this general are trying to connect people. Let's go to immigration and our national security. So we see Texas now fighting back. The AG there, Paxton, we had him on the show. He won his case. Thank goodness the judge stopped what President Biden wanted to do with his moratorium on deportations, kicking people out that are here illegally. But he still opened the floodgates in the South. We had a mayor on from a border town who's saying, I'm dealing with power outages and lack of water, and you want me to take on illegal immigrants and house and take care of them? What if they have COVID? What if they're criminals? And this was a Democrat mayor attacking the commander-in-chief.
Yeah. Well, again, we see the double standard again, because now it's not kids in cages. Now it's migrant facilities, even though it's the exact same facilities that Biden and Obama originally had, that President Trump then used, and now they're using as well. But the name, it's migrant facilities when a Democrat's in the White House, I guess, even though it's the same darn facility. So, look, we understand what's going on here. They're tearing down the wall, not protecting the country, but meanwhile they're putting up a wall around the Capitol to protect the politicians. And it just one more thing that drives the American people crazy, and well, it should, because they're tired of this double standard. They're tired of, they want our border secure. I mean, they had actually, the other line, frankly, that is so true with this new administration is it's open borders and closed schools. How about we do the other way around? How about we actually open the schools, give our kids an education, and then make sure our border is secure, like it was when President Trump was in office? So, yeah, the immigration bill they're rolling out is not what the country needs, not what's going to protect the country. And particularly as we're coming to the end and dealing with this COVID issue, it doesn't make sense what they're trying to do on the border either.